To when I lay down and take that final breath, know that I have exhausted every ounce of potential.
For a moment, it seems like a picture-perfect ending as the queen of reality TV, Mona Scott Young, is posted up front with champagne in hand, appreciating the success of another season full of drama. However, behind the smiles and toasts, two shadows huddle in the VIP lounge, sharing more than just business secrets. Rumors emanate from the corner, where Scrappy and Chaos are hiding from the throng and engaged in what appears to be a heated private discussion. Their vibe is different from the rest of the room, and Chaos's body language is tight, with his arms crossed and his mouth set, while Scrappy appears agitated. He paced a little and shook his head as Chaotic leaned closer. According to insiders, this moment had been building for weeks since Chaotic began to get closer to Diamond, Scrappy's ex. Although Scrappy never expressed it aloud, people around them could tell he didn't like it. Instead of backing off, Chaotic leaned in harder, showing up with Diamond at scenes and dropping slick comments and confessionals that pushed boundaries. Now, at the party, when everyone else is winding down, these two are winding up without any cameras in their faces or producers directing the scene.
Blank, if we that's what that says. And now you going back on your word after I signed the release form for Cannon. I take you back to court. Don't play with me. You didn't ask me to cash out extra money towards the rent. I just did it out of the kindness of my heart because I knew you were behind trying to help you. That wasn't no extra money. That was what you're supposed to be giving me anyway since we agreed to whatever the number is.
It's not ostentatious, but Kirk Frost sits across from Mona Scott Young in a quiet corner of the rooftop club, away from the lights and commotion of the after-party. He leans in sincerely, perhaps a little nervously, and says, "Thank you for everything this season. You gave me a shot to clean it up and rebuild some of what I lost." Only two seasoned players are drinking and talking in low tones, but Kirk made sure to catch her alone. He's discussing the damage control plot that Mona approved following years of criticism for Kirk's infidelity, disrespect for Rashida, and public outrage. But this season, Mona gave him permission to change the story. A transformed man. A loving spouse and a parent attempting to do the right thing, Kirk may believe that this alliance gives him security, but Mona has been in the game too long to be influenced by charm. She says, "You did good, but don't forget. I built that narrative, I can flip it just as fast." Mona nods slowly, appreciating the acknowledgement, but her expression remains composed throughout. Not threatening, just a reminder that she is in charge of the edit and chooses what airs, and she won't protect Kirk the next time he makes a mistake. They were unaware that the story would soon write itself. And something keeps them both there. Whether it's the pressure, the emotional high of finishing a season, or the vulnerability that comes when the cameras finally stop rolling and they find themselves alone again, out of the public eye, now just in a quiet lounge area with dim lighting and leftover drinks. Mona lingers behind as the crowd thins and the cast members head home, and Kirk doesn't intend to stay either. For a brief while, their previous chat lays the groundwork for something more profound, as Mona discusses the costs of constantly handling chaos and cleaning up other people's trash while concealing her own. Kirk listens in a way that most people don't, and he isn't passing judgment. He understands. They talk more slowly now, and in some way, between emotional weariness and shared stillness, things change a little bit. Then, weeks go by without an intimate encounter. This isn't a scene she wrote for the first time, but life goes on until Mona feels strange. She initially dismisses it by blaming it on stress or exhaustion, but something lingers. She takes a test, and then the truth hits hard. She's pregnant. She doesn't tell Kirk right away, and she's not even sure she will. It's too complicated.
I ain't trying to do shit. You already know I'm not. Like when, where, how, when.
So where the rest of the text messages at so I can find out this information about what y'all agreed to? Why are your text messages deleted?
What you mean? I don't even know what the was being said. I was frustrated. I might have thought about and I don't know if I sent same day, the next day, I sent the money and did what I needed to do. That's it. I ain't do.
While he's at home with Rashida, Kirk tries to act calm. He receives a vague text from Mona saying that they need to talk, so he deletes it before Rashida notices that she's already suspicious and has been watching him closely since their last difficult time. She asks him casual questions about where he's been and who he's texting, and he responds casually, but she doesn't really buy it. Every time his phone buzzes, he becomes tense, and he's not even sure if Mona will say anything, but the fear of what might come out weighs heavy. Meanwhile, Mona is quietly breaking down in her home, with no cameras or crew. One evening, she phones Yandy, who has experienced both sides of the reality game and is aware of how hazy the boundaries between personal and production can become. She doesn't say it directly, but Yandy notices. The voice of Mona breaks. Mona has been cautious, but the signs are there. She's showing, and there's no denying it for much longer. Months pass, and when the silence becomes louder than the cameras, that's when the real story starts. Her silence speaks louder than her words, and you have to deal with it before the Zao streets do little adjustments. In her world, even when people pretend not to notice, word quickly spreads after a producer asks a quiet inquiry off-set. After hours, Mona contacts Kirk in a panic, and they meet in her office where tension is high. Kirk's pacing Mona is calm but direct, but it's happening. You need to figure this out. She claims he's not ready and that the timing isn't right. But she doesn't have time because she's juggling press conferences, storyline meetings, and now prenatal appointments. Her avoidance of inquiries and the season planning for the show is in progress. I gave you space to fix your story, but this one isn't just mine to carry, and I won't let it explode on my doorstep without warning, Mona says to him, that she won't be able to hide behind production deadlines for much longer. Kirk nods, but he fears more than Rashida's response. He fears the fall of the empire due to the truth. You can alter the video, but you can't erase the truth permanently.
It was a problem. And then it would be, you don't have to do this. And for me, that felt like, don't negate what I have been doing. Don't negate me making sure you and the kids...
One day, not on camera or for show, just woman to woman, she pulls Rashida aside and says, I need to tell you something. Her tone is serious. She has been keeping Mona's secret for too long. She didn't ask for it, but Mona confided in her anyhow. Now, as she watches Kirk go about her. At first, Rashida listens quietly, knowing it's not gossip, but as Yandy goes on, her expression changes. Her eyes widen, her mouth slightly opens, and then she realizes, not again, before saying the words that pierce her more deeply, not her. Rashida is not only upset, she is devastated after seeing Kirk. Betrayed her in the past, but this time it was with Mona, the woman who worked behind the scenes creating tales, directing careers, and assisting in the development of their brand, not some random sidekick or groupie seeking influence. Yandandi places a hand on her shoulder and says she couldn't bear to see her wander about in the dark for Rashida, but she didn't want to be the one to inform her. Betrayal wasn't new, but this one was unique because it came from the top. Rashida enters Mona's office without knocking and doesn't take long to do so. Mona is shocked when her Rashidia interrupts her. Her eyes remain firm despite her voice trembling. You capitalized on our suffering by using our disarray to establish your empire. Then you went behind our backs and made up your own story with my husband. Mona doesn't flinch, but she doesn't interrupt, so she lets Rashida talk. I trusted you, Rashida goes on. I thought we were friends and business partners. Mona tries to explain that it wasn't planned, that one moment went out of hand, and that she never meant to hurt her. She sounds honest and even scared, but Rashida doesn't care. It's always unplanned with him, and it's always an accident. But you knew better. The room falls silent, just the two of them, facing off. Not as stars and producers, but as two women whose lives have collided in the worst way. Mona built the stage, but now she was the scandal.
Me in your life, and you kept up over and over. You violated my privacy, you violated my space, you did it behind my back. I almost died. You understand?
A few group chats and murmurs, the story quickly spreads to gossip blogs. A fuzzy party photo here, a sketchy headline there, but enough to resurrect past conflict and raise enough concerns to make Rashida pack her bags. She is done. No notice, no texts, simply departed. Kirk returns home to an empty house with a note. Written on it, no cameras, no confrontation, just silence. He tries calling but gets no answer, checks in with her family, but she's gone dark, and that silence is louder than any argument they've ever had. Meanwhile, Mona's phone keeps ringing. Her assistant, her legal team, and her publicist all want answers, and she's used to having arguments, but it's different. She is cleaning up her own mess, not someone else's, and there is no excuse for having an affair with your cast member's husband. Producers should begin preparing for damage management. Fans speculate that Mona's name is trending for the wrong reasons, while others believe it's a publicity stunt, and others believe it's the last nail in the franchise's coffin. She remains silent, but then Kirk unexpectedly shows up at Mona's house. He's not slick or rehearsed, just exhausted, and he tells her that everything is falling apart, that Rashida is gone, that the kids are asking him questions about how he messed up, and that he knows it, but above all, he wants to fix it. When Mona hears some things can't be fixed, she says, resting against the kitchen counter. You say you want to fix it, but she doesn't show pity. Kirk makes another attempt, saying, I'll be honest, I'll go on camera, I'll own it. Mona doesn't bat an eye. You should have done that months ago. There's a long pause, and then she looks him in the eye and says, You might have already lost her. He nods slowly, as if he already knows, but hearing it still hurts. Hip-hop was founded on messy stories, but this one could ruin it all. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments.